So you want to own a marina. Blue water, white boats, money at the dock. Every slip pays you rent, every month. Boats you never fuel, fix, or captain. Sounds like waterfront passive income. It is not. Marinas quietly bankrupt confident owners every year. Yet Blackstone paid billions for them. Both of those things are true. The difference is what you cannot see. It's underwater, literally. Let's go find it. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. A marina is not a boat business. It is waterfront real estate wearing a nautical costume. You are not selling dock space. You are renting scarce, permitted water, parking spots that governments almost never allow anyone to build again. That word, permitted, is the entire moat. New marina construction faces environmental reviews, coastal regulations, and community opposition that can drag on for years. The United States has roughly 12,000 marina facilities, generating about $7 to $8 billion in combined annual revenue. Supply barely grows. Now the entry price. Small inland marinas can trade for low seven figures. Premium coastal properties run into the tens of millions. One broker rule of thumb: marinas are often valued between roughly $5,000 and $15,000 per slip before counting fuel, service, and storage income. A 200-slip property at those numbers alone spans $1 to $3 million. Location, water depth, and lease terms swing it wildly. And here is the trapdoor under the floor. Many marinas don't own their land. They lease submerged bottom land from a city or state. A short remaining lease can gut your valuation overnight. You bought a business standing on someone else's water. Remember that. It returns later. Now the money. Revenue Layer 1 slip rent. Boaters typically pay per foot of boat length every single month, whether they sail or not. Baseline U.S. rates run roughly $15 to $35 per foot monthly. Premium coastal markets can hit $50 to $100 per foot. A 40-foot boat at $30 per foot pays about $1,200 a month. Multiply by 200 slips. That's the fantasy engine. Industry sale guides model it plainly. A 250-slip premium marina at strong occupancy can generate roughly $2.6 million in slip revenue alone. Better still, slip rental can carry gross margins above 70% after dockmaster wages, routine maintenance, and insurance. This is your profit core. Layer 2, dry stack storage, boats stacked in giant racks on land launched by forklift. Typically $100 to $200 per foot yearly. A modern, automated dry stack building can hold 300 to 500 boats on the footprint of maybe 50 to 80 wet slips. Density printing money. Layer 3, the fuel dock. Gas and diesel sales at established marinas commonly run $1 to $3 million in annual revenue. But here is the catch. Fuel margins are thin, typically only 10 to 20% gross. Big revenue, small profit, big liability. Layer 4, service and repair, winterization, engine work. Bottom paint, haul-outs. Boat owners are captive customers. Their boat already lives at your dock. Layer 5, winter storage in cold climates. Storing a boat for the off-season can cost owners as much as their summer slip. That flips the seasonality problem. Your northern marina earns twice. Once from summer water, once from winter asphalt and heated sheds. Layer 6, transient traffic. Traveling boats pay nightly, hotel style. In premium urban markets, transient docking can run $2 to $5 per foot per night. Layer 7, the small stuff that compounds. Ships store, pump outs, electricity metering, live aboard surcharges, often $200 to $800 monthly extra per live aboard. Stack it together, and top coastal marinas can generate roughly $5,000 to $15,000 per slip annually across all revenue lines. Non-slip operations, fuel, repair, storage, retail, can contribute up to 30% of total marina revenue. Diversification is survival, not decoration. So far, this looks beautiful. Recurring rent, captive customers, monopoly water. Now here is the dirty secret. The water is eating your asset. Cost trap 1. Everything you own sits in a corrosive, moving, freezing, storm-hit environment. Docks, palings, and bulkheads are always dying, slowly, expensively. Dock replacement is not a repair bill. It is a capital event. Often hundreds of thousands of dollars per section of aging infrastructure. Cost trap 2, dredging. Silt fills your harbor year after year. Too shallow and bigger boats, your best paying customers, physically cannot enter. Dredging requires permits, environmental testing, and disposal of what you pull up. Owners can face 6 or 7-figure dredging cycles. Skipping it shrinks revenue. Cost trap 3, insurance. You store other people's expensive property on flammable fuel-adjacent docks and storm zones. Premiums have climbed brutally in coastal markets. On hurricane coasts, boaters themselves pay $1,000 to $3,000 extra annually for haul-outs and coverage. Your policy scales that pain up. That's the trapdoor under the floor. One direct hurricane hit can destroy docks, sink customer boats, and trigger years of litigation and rebuilding. Cost trap 4, environmental liability. Fuel tanks leak. Bottom paint contaminates sediment. Environmental compliance issues commonly derail marina sales and can attach to you. You inherit whatever the last 50 years of owners spilled. Buy without a proper environmental assessment, and you may have bought a cleanup order. Cost trap 5. Labor, dock hands, mechanics, a dock master who actually knows boats. Skilled marine technicians are scarce, and scarce means expensive. Cost trap 6, seasonality. In northern markets, most cash arrives in 5 months. Your mortgage, insurance, and payroll arrive in all 12. Nobody warned you about the dependency stack either. Your revenue depends on boat ownership, a luxury purchase that wobbles with the economy. Fuel prices spike, interest rates climb, and marginal boaters sell the boat. Empty slips don't send angry emails. They just stop paying. Then the lease risk returns. If your marina sits on municipal bottomland, a rent reset or non-renewal can erase decades of goodwill. And regulators sit at your table forever. Coastal commissions, environmental agencies, harbor authorities. You operate at the pleasure of permits you don't control. Here is what actually kills marina owners. Not one disaster. Deferred maintenance compounding quietly while the owner enjoys the passive rent checks. Year 1, you skip piling repairs. Year 5, the docks look tired. Year 10, top boaters leave for the shinier marina nearby. Occupancy slides, revenue drops, and now you cannot afford the very repairs that would win customers back. That spiral has drowned countless operators. The second killer, underestimating capital reserves. Sophisticated buyers model constant reinvestment. Romantic buyers model sunsets. The water doesn't care which one you are. The third killer, buying revenue without reading the lease, the permits, and the environmental file. The paperwork is the marina. The docks are decoration. So who actually wins at this game? Time for a true story. The biggest marina bet ever made. And it worked. Meet Safe Harbor Marinas. Starting in the 2010s, it rolled up independent, often family-owned marinas across America into one professional operating platform. The thesis was simple: mom-and-pop marinas underprice slips, underinvest in service, and undermonetize their waterfront. Buy them, systematize them, compound them. In 2020, real estate trust Sun Communities acquired Safe Harbor for roughly $2 billion, betting big on consolidated marina ownership. Under Sun, Safe Harbor kept acquiring, growing into the largest marina and superyacht servicing business in the United States, 138 marinas strong. They did everything this video described: professional slip pricing, dry stack expansion, service upsells, superyacht work. Every revenue layer systematized at national scale. Then, February 2025, the payoff. Blackstone Infrastructure agreed to buy Safe Harbor from Sun Communities. All cash. $5.65 billion. Read that pricing again. The deal represented roughly a 21 times multiple on Safe Harbor's estimated 2024 funds from operations. That is trophy asset pricing. Industry analysts note quality coastal marinas now command multiples roughly 50% higher than equivalent earnings in most ordinary service businesses. Why would Blackstone, famously unsentimental, pay that? Their own reasoning: travel and leisure growth, plus population flowing into coastal cities. Translation: more people, more boats, more demand, pressing against a supply of permitted slips that regulation keeps nearly frozen. Landlord's paradise. The deal closed in April 2025. Sun walked away with roughly $5.25 billion in pre-tax proceeds after costs in 5 years. The lesson is not marinas are easy. The lesson is that scale, capital, and operational discipline convert a maintenance nightmare into infrastructure. Blackstone literally classified marinas under its infrastructure arm, alongside energy and transportation. To them, your dock is a toll road on water. Which brings us to the paradox. If marinas eat cash and fight weather, why do the wealthy keep buying them? 4 reasons. Reason 1. Irreplaceable land. Building a new marina is so difficult that replacement cost puts a hard floor under existing marina values. Reason 2. Monopoly dynamics. Your competitor cannot open across the street. There is no street. Waitlists in top harbors stretch for years. Reason 3. Pricing power. When demand outruns frozen supply, slip rates climb. Coastal marinas have traded at cap rates around 5 to 8%. Reason 4. The real estate beneath the business. Even a mediocre operator holds appreciating waterfront in markets where waterfront simply cannot be manufactured. Add the quieter benefits. Depreciation shelters income, consolidators pay premiums for tidy books, and ownership carries undeniable status. Rich buyers see all 4 layers. This is the dirty secret of the paradox. The costs that terrify small owners are exactly what protect big ones. Pain is the moat. Every dredging bill, insurance premium, and permit battle raises the wall against new competition. Blackstone isn't paying despite the headaches, partly because of them. The small owner survives the moat. The large owner is priced for it. Same water, entirely different game. So, should you own a marina? Here is the honest, conditional answer. If you want passive income, no. A marina is an operating business bolted onto decaying infrastructure. Absentee owners feed the deferred maintenance spiral. If you have capital reserves, operating discipline, and a long horizon, a well-located marina with clean permits is a genuinely rare asset. Before buying, interrogate 3 documents: the land lease, the environmental file, and the capital expenditure history. They decide your fate, not the sunsets. Buy the water rights, not the view. Underwrite the storms, not the summers. And assume every dock is quietly dissolving, because it is. Because a marina was never a place where boats park. It is a monopoly on scarce water that charges rent to stay afloat.